Good morning and welcome back. This is World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Celia Stremska. Just several days ago, on March 19th, the European Commission has presented a white paper for European defense, Readiness 2030. To discuss this latest development in Europe's quest to rearm itself and increase its security, I have Magdalena Baran, Editor-in-Chief Liberté, joining me here at the studio. Delighted to have you with us. Thank you.
Good morning.
So let's try and unpack what has been established. What does this white paper consist of? What are some of the key provisions? And what does the EU intend to do?
Yeah, in general, it's a document we have been waiting for since the new Commission started to operate. Because we need to have in mind that we finally have a new Commissioner, because the European Union recognized that there is a need to have a Commissioner responsible for defense, and this is Andrius Kubilius, who together with Kaja Kallas, but also together with Henna Virkkunen, had been working on this white paper or the white book of European defense for the last 100 days. Okay, a bit more than 100 days. But since we, after Trump became a president of the US, we observed a constant change of the relations. And that's why I believe we had to cover more gaps in European systems. Just before the document was presented, I can remember one of the politicians speaking that the excessive trust in the US that we had in the US, in fact, has weakened Europe and its ability to defend itself, but also its ability to work autonomously in the neighborhood. So, and it is of course about the Ukraine, about the war in Ukraine, but it was the most important step to build this strategy, because in fact this is a strategy that shows us all those gaps, but also open financial mechanisms that will allow Europe to change. And some would even say, I think that this morning I read an article, a very short one, about if some European countries, including Poland, are able to replace US in NATO. And I think this book, this white paper, is the first step in a very good direction. About the gaps maybe in a minute, if you don't mind, but we already know that a part of it, that is an Eastern Shield, we'll get a financing. Just yesterday or the day before yesterday, Vice Minister Cezary Tomczyk informed us that Poland already went through the very first talks with the European Investment Bank, and it will cover, of course, a huge part of the investments we need to make to build the shield. And shield is, of course, not only infrastructure but also other facilities.
Right, we're talking about this 10 billion zlotys, right? 2.3 billion euro that the initial stage at least is supposed to cost. And of course, as you mentioned, I guess Munich Security Conference was this wake-up call, right, for Europe.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I wanted to get to the funding, right? Because you mentioned new mechanisms to fund defense. And of course, we have SAFE, which is Security Action for Europe. And under this instrument, the Commission will raise 150 billion euro on capital markets, funds that then will be disbursed among member states. And apparently, member states can apply collectively or on its own. So what criteria will be used to allot this funding? And apparently Poland cared about the possibility of single application, of being able to apply on its own. Why do you think is that?
I think that because, the shield is our project, it is a project of our government, but the project that became, in fact, important for the security of Europe as a whole. Even when you look at the priorities of Polish presidency, so 7 pillars of security and internal and external security are the most important factor here, and shield will serve both, not only for Poland but for whole Europe. Because it will be built at the Polish-Belarusian and Russian border, partly also at the border with Ukraine, and we will have also a little part at the border, some facilities at the border with Lithuania. So it's a huge project, as we know, but it is not only, and this money will be used not only for the infrastructure and for defense systems, but also to build to make our alliance stronger and to build social resilience. That is a third pillar of the shield itself. But when it comes to the financing, of course, there will be several countries, because, okay, it led us to go back to the gaps, because the white paper describes that, okay, we have problems with air defense systems, with ammunition, with artillery, we have problems with drones. We need to cover some areas with drones and drone defense system. Of course, we need to use AI much better than we do it right now. But also we need to, and this is a part of a common project. So we need to work on the mobility of our armies, and I believe that this is partly what. On what kind of projects countries could apply together. Same with, for example, production of ammunition and weapon production, because we have our factories in different parts of Europe, but we need to organize it right now to coordinate what to produce where and how to build this I would say defense system together right now, maybe not to replace the US in NATO, but to prove that we are able to defend ourselves and to be ready for to answer the threat from Russia. And the threat is, as we know, real. And the perspective 2030 is a very realistic perspective, because even now, I remember Pavel Kowal speaking a few days ago that if we will accept a few, for example, changes of territory in the Ukraine, in fact, Putin won't stop there, but it will expose other countries to danger. First, the Baltic countries, but then Poland and the rest. Starting from the rest of the Soviet bloc, so we need, and it will be like in the nearest 5 years. So we have those years to be ready for whatever is about to come. Maybe nothing, maybe just more forms of a hybrid war, but just we need to think of ourselves and our ability to defend.
Certainly, it's better to be safe than sorry. However, it does sound quite ominous. But I mean, going back to this whole financing scheme, it is largely based on debt, right? On sort of relaxing financial constraints. And some leaders, such as Giorgia Meloni, criticized that it cannot be done in this way. So, do you think that she has a point?
I'm pretty sure that we haven't had enough time to think about better mechanism. And I believe what the European leaders agree for is maybe good enough for the moment. And it is I would say, the fastest possibility, and we need to act fast. And since we'll always have, since the European Union is a gathering of different countries, different opinions, different point of views, and different, partly also ideas on the relations with Russia, with the US, and the rest of the world. There will be always, we'll always hear some voices. At least her voice is not in a kind of Orban's voice. But what I believe is really important is that our budget discipline will be weaker thanks to this mechanism, because we'll be able, without starting some punishment from the European Union, to spend more. It's 1.5% of GDP more for defense than we were allowed to do before. So I believe it's a step in a good way, in a good direction. And since in fact, I'm not sure if we even could have a better idea for that right now, because doing it fast but also doing it really rational, is what we really need now.
Right, and some individual countries are already doing this, and of course I'm talking about Germany, as the country has relaxed its fiscal policy. My question, it will be probably the last one, is that do you think that this will change Germany's standing within NATO? Is Germany going to sort of reposition itself within the EU and NATO, perhaps?
I believe so. For Germany, as you know, also mentally is a great change, because it's the first change in this direction after the Second World War, and so I believe it will make Germany stronger, but I believe also that it will make us equal in the Weimar Triangle, because Merz already mentioned that Poland should be recognized as an equal player in the Weimar Triangle, and since we all the countries on the streets of France, Poland and Germany will spend the right percentage for the GDP for defense, and I think this triangle might be a really strong voice in the security and defense sector of Europe right now.
Magdalena Baran, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Much appreciated. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Please stay tuned for more here on TVP World.